for tuning in to our live stream. I'm Kellen, and that's Pastor Chris.
Pastor Chris.
And we're here just going to inform you of a couple things coming up. One, we have a live stream chat that we would love for you to be a part of.
Come on in, but not too close, 6 feet apart from the screen at all times, because you never know.
That's
We're
true.
practicing social distancing.
Social distancing.
6 feet, and you have long arms.
So we want you to say hi and tell us where you're coming from. 2, connection card. Fill it out right now. You have plenty of time before we get started.
Out. Looks like this. Not like this anymore. This, or this, or this. Get it.
And 3, we have a family experience coming up called Easter Jam. Make sure you have your marshmallow peeps ready.
Get your peeps.
Some toothpicks.
And
some balled up socks.
Socks.
Now's a great time to go get it if you haven't yet.
Go and get it.
Hello everybody and happy Easter! Welcome everybody to Our City Online. If you haven't had the chance, my name is Kellen and I am the Next Gen Pastor here at Our City Church. Thank you so much for joining us. If it is your first time, we just want to say that you are loved and valued by whoever shared this with you. And speaking of sharing this, why don't we all just take a minute and copy this link and share it to 1 or 2 friends that we know need some encouragement today. And if you are new, let me walk you through what we are going to experience today. We are going to be singing a few songs in just a minute. We're going to hear an incredible message from our pastor, and then we are going to have such a fun time with our family experience called Easter Jam. Now, trust me when I say this, you do not want to miss any part of our service, especially Easter Jam, mainly because I'm hosting it. It's going to be great. But we love connecting with you here online, but we do have a group of people who still meet throughout the week and have amazing life experiences together in a thing we call life groups. Now, they meet through Zoom and they laugh together, they cry together, and they talk about how the weekly message is impacting their life. Now, if this community is something you are interested in, we would love to get you connected. All you have to do is fill out a connection card, and then we will plug you in with a group that's perfect for you. And as a bonus for everyone else, when we fill out these connection cards and share the link on YouTube or Facebook, we are able to provide meals for kids throughout the world. All right, so let's fill out that connection card. Let's share this link on YouTube or Facebook, and let's change the world together. All right, Our City Church, this is what we're gonna do. Let's prepare our hearts, turn the volume up really loud, and let's sing a few songs together.
Stars wept, the morning sun was dead, Savior of the world was fallen. His body on the cross, his blood poured out for us, the weight of every curse upon him.
Welcome, Our City Church, to our Easter experience. If we haven't met yet, my name is Chris, and I lead pastor here at Our City Church. And I just want to welcome all of you from all around the nation, all around the world, to Our City Church. We want to become a part of your journey and your story if you're new here. And I just want to let you know we would love to become a part of your normal routine, both in quarantine and even after quarantine, where you could look to us for some encouragement, some fun, some joy, some laughter, some really insightful things that we hope will change your life. And so know that no matter where you're at, no matter what you think or even what you believe, you are welcomed here. You don't have to believe like us to belong to us. You can come and be around us and hang out with us and hear the things that we're thinking about and that we're trying to do to change the world way before you believe everything. That is not a requirement for us at Our City Church. We just want to know you, and we want to be a place of encouragement and hope for you each week. And you should know that if you are watching this today because somebody shared it with you, they sent you a text or an email, or maybe they sent it on social media, I just want you to know that's because we at Our City Church have a community, a real community of people. A church is what we call it. It's a people, though, that love what God is doing in their life, love the hope, love the encouragement, love the inspiration, love the insights that they are getting each and every week, and they just don't want to keep it to themselves. And they love their family and they love their friends. And so that's why you received that this last week, an invitation to come in here. And so just know they push past the potential uncomfort or awkwardness of inviting someone to something like this and a spiritual thing. You know, it's kind of that other dimension of life. And really did it because they value you more than they value their own comfort. And so I want you to know that's how important you are to your friend or to your family member, and that's how important you are to me and how important you are to our community. It's just the way we want to be. So welcome in. We hope that you are comfortable and ready to hear something I think that will encourage you. I do want to say to those of you that are newer and you've began to make this your experience, you've made it more your rhythm, and each week you're finding more and more that this resonates with you, and maybe it resonates with your adult children, or it resonates with your kids when they're on our City Kids stuff, or there's just something that you can tell is happening in your life, in your heart, and you're like, man, this is becoming more and more of your church, your church home, and your place of connection or inspiration. I want to let you know that I would love to meet you, and our team is going to set up a digital meet and greet on Zoom, and I would love to meet you and just hang out with you. So if you'd like to sign up for that, I'd love you to text the words Our City, it could be one word or two words, to 797979. And our team will get right back to you, and we're going to do that in the next week. And I just want to connect. I never wanted to be a pastor that was on a stage and you never connected with or you never talked to. Jesus, he did teach in front of people, and he taught in front of crowds, but he also was amongst the people. And at Our City Church, all of our pastors, we want to make sure that we're available to be around you. And so that's important to me. I would love to get to know you a little bit more. So please text to 797979 Our City. Also, to all of our community and to every one of our guests, today is a very special day, certainly because of Easter, but practically we're going to do something at the end of my message today that will change people's lives. And I want to let you know that our normal practice at Our City Church, even when we were meeting together, was we never want our guests or the people who are figuring out what they do think or do believe to ever feel under any obligation at all to give financially to support anything we do. You never need to feel like that. I never want you to feel like there's an expectation, because there's not. We do this as a free service to you because we love you, and Our City Church has a most generous people. We have a generous church that makes sure that the things they believe that has made them who they are going to go forward and can get to people before they believe they could still be a part. So I want to let you know that's our normal practice. We don't even pass offering plates or offering buckets or anything at all in our normal services, because we just aren't looking to try to like jam people up and collect from them on a week-to-week basis. However, on Easter is the one day a year that we do ask all of our guests to give, and here's why. We give the entire offering we collect on Easter away to people most in need. And this year we're going to do that at the end of the service, and so I would really love for you to hang tight and help us do something for those that COVID-19, the coronavirus, is most impacting. And we have found a few partners that we can really partner with that are boots on the ground in New York City, in the most hard-hit areas in our nation and even in our world, and they are making sure that people get the things they need to stay alive. And so I would like to ask you to really just open your heart throughout today's time and be considerate of those, and know that 100% of what you're going to give to OURCITY Church today is going to go to those people in need. And if you'll give us your your information, we will never share with anyone, but we do want to report back to you how much together that we raised today. And so that's important for us. One of the values of OURCITY Church is to be a generous church for those most in need, and we don't want that to stop just because we're quarantined. We don't want our generosity to be quarantined because people still need from our church. And so we're going to do that together today. Like many of you, the last couple weeks has totally changed my world, my story. There's been really sad moments, moments of surprising joy emerge out of nowhere, and moments of melancholy, moments of just thinking. And I think that it's been just a lot of different things. There's also been some kind of funny moments and moments where I just was like, what is going on here? One of the things, like many of you had, I had to do, I went out, I sought out to go get toilet paper for my family a couple weeks ago. And I went everywhere. I went out and I'm like, I got to be able to find it. This was like weeks before, where it was like, we weren't all shut down yet, but I was starting to hear like, man, people are having a hard time finding toilet paper. I was like, well, I better go get, some. And I went out, man, I went everywhere. I'm not lying. I went to Smart and Final, okay? I went to Vaughn's, I went to Albertsons, I went to Stater Brothers, I went to Walmart, I went to Target. Man, I started going to the cultural grocery stores, languages I couldn't even speak. And I was like, man, and they were gone. And I was like, dude, there's like seriously no toilet paper, which was really weird to me early on, because people got toilet paper but left all the canned foods. And I'm like, toilet paper is a part of the process of helping you process the food. So you left all the food and got all the toilet paper. What are you going to do? You have no food. You don't need the toilet paper. Anyways, it's a lot. But what I want you to understand is I was stuck thinking like, I went out, I've spent 2 hours looking for this, and this is all for nothing. I was dejected sitting in the vehicle and just like thinking like, dude, what in the world am I gonna do? And it felt all for nothing. And then I got this really crazy idea. I went to check on a 7-Eleven, and while I was in the 7-Eleven, they didn't have anything. But then I had an idea, and I'm now going public with this idea because I don't think you can find it. And if you can, God bless you. But I did, and I didn't tell anyone except one other person. Pastor Mike Sanders, he's on our staff at OURCITY Church. He helps run all kinds of stuff. He works with our production, with our youth, and he's incredible. His wife Tierney had sent him out to like get some food and stuff, and I was like, hey man, I don't know how you're doing on toilet paper, but I found like a hidden treasure. I literally felt like Aladdin. I was like, dude, I found something, and I want to share it with not very many people, but with you. So we went and we met up, and here's what I found. I don't think you could do it because I've gone back to a few of them and they're gone. But early in the game, I went to 7-Eleven, and it made me think like, I wonder if I went to liquor stores. So I started going to liquor stores, and man, they had individual rolls of toilet paper, good toilet paper, like good, the thick, like good stuff, you know what I'm talking? Like, and all of a sudden I was like, dude, and I felt so happy, but there was so much of it. Him and I went in there, and at first we grabbed all of it. It came on us, that weird, crazy mindset, that spirit of everyone else is grabbing everything, I better grab everything. And we were walking like towards the register, and I looked at him, I was like, dude, look at us, man. Isn't this a darn shame? Like, I was like, man, I can't do this. We can't do this. What do we do? We lost our minds. And so, and we just started giggling and laughing. We went back, put a bunch of it back, got enough probably for our family for like, I don't know, a couple weeks. And they were individual. Do know, they were not cheap, okay? They were getting us for those rolls. I'm telling you right now, I probably bought normal, like price. I probably bought like 6 48 packs and had like 6 rolls. They were getting your boy. But I do want you to know that in that moment, all of a sudden I realized like all of the effort felt like it was all for nothing, right? Until I found something in a place I would have not expected, and I wasn't looking for it. And as I considered and began to think about like the life we're in right now, and even what it meant for us to look into Easter together as a community and as guests, I think we all kind of feel like that sometimes, right? We feel like we're on the pursuit of trying to find something in life, trying to find something through the circumstances of some difficulty, and it feels like I really wanted a good life, I really wanted a good experience at school, I really wanted this to go that way, but it now feels all for nothing, right? I can imagine if you're a high school senior right now, it feels a little all for nothing. 13 years of school, kindergarten all the way through your high school senior year, and you don't even get the graduation, you don't get the family coming in from out of town, no one's lined up to give you flowers, roses, attaboys, attagirls, pictures, and that's a disappointment. It feels like, man, My senior year was all for nothing. Maybe you're in college and you're graduating from college, or you got your master's degree or a doctorate degree. All this work. And a big part of doing work is celebrating that work. It's appropriate, it's correct, it's right, it's true. It's not to just be, whatever, get over it. It's like, no, that actually helps us go to the next very difficult thing, is celebrating the last difficult thing that we got through. And I can imagine that would be very difficult, and the thoughts would creep up naturally and be like, that was all for nothing. If you've ever gone through a really bad breakup, it felt like, well, what was that for? That doesn't, maybe even a bad divorce. Maybe you started your business, and now because of being quarantined, the business is struggling and maybe not even going to make it, right? You might be in a situation where, your finances are taking a big hit, and you invested and the investments aren't doing good, or you had saved it and now you did so good. You got out of debt. You went through like our Financial Peace University that we do as a life group at our church, and you got out of debt, you got on a budget, and just got some of the savings, and now you're just like going through it. We can all come to places in our life where we feel like, I thought it was going to be like this, and now it feels like I went out looking, I tried, I worked hard, I lived right, I did the right things, and I still got my heart broke, I still got disappointed, it still didn't work out. This is not how I thought it was going to go, and now it just feels like, man, what was that for? That was all for nothing. Like, I don't understand. And yeah, you have the people in the world they can sometimes really be awful in the church, where they're like, well, everything happens for a reason, and you never know, and just keep your head up and all that. And whatever, I guess that's true, and I think it's true probably at some level, but that doesn't help you when you're sitting there on graduation day and you can't walk. It doesn't help you when you are at the funeral. It doesn't help you when you can't pay your bills. It doesn't help you when you're crying over the heartbreak of the broken relationship. Those statements are so unhelpful, and they do nothing. They have no power. In fact, all they do is just add on to the heaviness and the anxiety and the despair and the fake smiles, and it doesn't feel like you're even really able to get through it. And fortunate for us, that's not the first time this has happened to us as a people. We're not the first group of people that actually have to deal with this kind of stuff. In the story of Jesus, which we're here to look into today, we talked about this on our Good Friday service. All of his followers were following him. He had big crowds, lots of people coming. He was healing people, teaching people. He was teaching this new idea of who God would love and would accept. It used to be God will only accept these people. And then Jesus is like, he does accept and love these people if they put their trust in me. I'm their Messiah, and this Messiah now doesn't want to just save these people, the Jewish people. Now he's extending it to everyone, Greeks, Gentiles, the rest of the world. Everyone can have access to God. Whoa. This was different. And then the people who loved it were stoked. The people who hated it were not happy, and they were like, how do we get rid of this guy? So everyone on this idea of God and truth and Jesus were just pumped up. They're following Jesus. They're rooting for Jesus. Palm Sunday, which was last Sunday, everyone's waving palm branches. You're the new king. You're going to take out Caesar. Caesar Augustus, who was Julius Caesar's half son, he would, I'm the king of the world. I'm the Roman emperor. I'm it. And Jesus, and they're like, no, he's not you. You're the king. Jesus is king, not Caesar. All this pomp and circumstance, all this amazing celebration. And in the end, no one saw it coming what happened on Good Friday. All of a sudden, early in the morning, he's illegally arrested. He's illegally tried. He's convicted in an illegal court. He's condemned to be beaten. He's beaten within an inch of his life. Then he's told to carry a cross a long distance. Then they nail him to a cross, dislocate his shoulders, put nails in his hands and in his feet. And his disciples start scattering. Nobody is cheering for him anymore. In fact, a lot of the people who were cheering for him were like, actually, dude, you, I think, are a fraud. We thought you were going to be the king with a sword, and now you're out here getting your head kicked in. You're getting beat up. You're not really the king we thought you were. You can't be the Messiah. You're certainly not taking out Caesar. Caesar's taking you out. And where's this greatness? Where's all the awesome at? And I think that if you can understand what that might feel like, I don't know about you, but I think sometimes for us in life, it could feel like our lives are stuck in that. Our lives are stuck in Good Friday. Our lives are stuck at the crucifixion. Our lives are stuck in a place where you got all these other people who believe in God or maybe believe in like whatever, and you're looking at them and it's like, man, your life is going great. Your marriage is going great. Your kids are acting great. Your finances look great. You're buying a house. I'm losing my house. You're extending your business. My business is being hurt. I'm trying my best. I'm doing my all. I don't know what else to do. I put my hope and my trust even in this God, and many of you might even feel, I put my hope and trust in you, Jesus, and now all of a sudden, there's like death happening in my life, death to my joy, death to my peace, death to the things I expected in my life. It's not living, it's not life. This is not what I thought it would be. This whole thing seems like it was just all for nothing. Jesus expressed feelings that were despairing as well. On the cross, you might echo in your own mind the thoughts that he says. He's on the cross, and it's recorded that he said a phrase. When he said it, it was in Aramaic. It's Eloi, Eloi, lama sabachthani. And it means, my God, why have you forsaken me? Why am I alone right now? Why aren't you here? Why aren't you helping? And for all of us that feel that way, maybe you push back away from the ideas of church because the way church was treating you or talking about you or making you feel God felt towards you, you were like, if that's God, I'm out. Maybe you were disappointed through something that a human did that believed in God, and the way they acted towards you just made you feel like, man, I don't even want to be associated with people like that, and you pushed away from the idea of faith and spirituality and even of Jesus. Or maybe you still believe in Jesus, but you just feel like there's parts of your life that are hanging on a cross dying, or they're dead in a tomb and it don't look like it's going to work. The disciples did not know Jesus was going to rise from the dead. They didn't understand that. Even though he had told them that, they just didn't get it. It's why nobody on Easter morning was standing at the tomb counting down from 10, hoping that it was going to be like, ta-da! Nobody expected that. And all of a sudden, we have now in common our lives with the people right here in the Easter story. In fact, the very Easter story, I think, speaks to us. The empty tomb is something we believe in Christianity, but I want to let you know that as much as they were thinking, this is not supposed to be how it goes. It wasn't supposed to go like this. Ready? It wasn't supposed to go like this. It still went like this. What do we do now? Well, I want to let you know that brings us to the story. And I want to read you the account of that morning after the third day. Jesus said, I'm going to die. I'm going to be crucified. I'm going to be dead. I'm going to die. I'm going to stop. My heart will stop beating. That's what Jesus said. But then it also records what happens after that in the resurrection account. And it's in Matthew chapter 28. And I want to read it to you. It says this, after the Sabbath, at dawn on the first day of the week, Mary Magdalene, who was a former prostitute, which I think is a powerful part of understanding redemption. The Jesus story starts with a former prostitute being one of the first, not one, the first to discover that Jesus was not going to be dead anymore, that he was alive, that the whole idea of Christianity is wrapped around the discovery through the eyes and the lens of someone with a broken past. If you have a broken past today, I want to let you know, lean in right now. If you've got bad choices, if you've got things you know you've done that it's not even God that makes you feel like, man, I regret that. If you were honest, you would say, I regret that choice. I regret those actions. I regret those words. I regret that lifestyle. I regret the way I did those things. I regret the way I treated her. I regret the way I treated him. I regret the way I handled that. I myself regret that. I want you to know that you're right here in the Easter story too. It says that Mary Magdalene and the other Mary went to look at the tomb. There was a violent earthquake, for an angel of the Lord had came down from heaven, going to the tomb, rolled back the stone and sat on it, which I just think is so awesome, right? It's like Jesus dies, he's in the grave, the angel comes, there's a massive earthquake, and all of a sudden, this angel pushes the stone back. It's interesting, I think, for us to note today, those of us that have believed in the story, I want you to just pay attention to this, is that they didn't need the angels to roll the stone away so Jesus could come out. It was so the rest of us could get into the empty tomb. Jesus had rose from the dead. The stone was rolled away just so we could see that Jesus had conquered death and everything that comes with brokenness and humanity, that mistakes and everything that we could do to mess up our lives. the stone got rolled away, not so Jesus could get out, but so that our hope and our belief could go in and investigate it and see it. It says this, that he rolled back the stone and sat on it, which I just think is awesome. It had these Roman guards guarding it, and they just like roll this massive stone away and just kick it on it, just like, I don't know, like propping up their feet kind of. It says this, his appearance was like lightning and his clothes were white as snow. The guards, and these guards weren't no punks, okay? These were like real guards, like strong dudes, okay? Big, huge, massive Roman soldiers, centurions. The guards were so afraid of him that they shook and became like dead men. Isn't it interesting to note that these powerful, strong examples of the Roman government are now like dead man when a man who was dead is now alive and his messenger is there? It's pretty powerful to consider the switch that happened in the moment Jesus rose from the dead, where now where the world looked like it has the power to just do anything to goodness and to charity and to peace and to joy and everything Jesus represents, that you have this evil, brutal ruler, this evil, brutal empire, and these representations of that, all of a sudden they're now afraid, shaking and lying like dead men because a dead man is now alive. The angel said to the woman, "Do not be afraid, for I know that you are looking for Jesus who was crucified. He is not here among the dead." He's not here. He has risen just as he said he would. In a day and age where often people don't do what they said they would do, it's so cool to hear that angel say that Jesus, he did what he said he would do. And you can't go through any of Jesus's words and find him acting in a way that he ever violates the way he said he would be. His character is always in line with his actions, and none of us can say that. We can say we try, we can say we hope, we want to. Hopefully when we act out of line with our character, we ask for forgiveness and we seek to make amends and to lower the distance, or to shorten the distance and get in line with what our character should be. But Jesus doesn't ever have to do that because he stayed in line with his character and his actions. It says, just as he said he's risen, come and see the place where he lay. And then he says this, then go quickly and tell his disciples he is risen from the dead and is going ahead of you. I love that Jesus goes ahead of the disciples, meaning he goes ahead, he's planning, he's preparing, he wants to use his death for the benefit of his followers so that they could experience life. And he says, there you will see him. Now I have told you. There you will see him. Often I think what we are going to have to recognize is that in order for us to see the outworking of our God, of Jesus, of his life, of his power, we have to sometimes be willing to follow him where he goes first. We have to go behind him. He goes in front of us, he goes before us. And sometimes I think, I don't know about you, but I know for me, it's like, Jesus, when I see you, then I'll put faith and trust in you, right? When I see you working, when I can tell it's you, when you make it obvious for me, then I'll let my faith rise. And my faith will then go because I see you. And here what we see is that Jesus went out in front of them and that they had to go in faith. They had to go in belief. They had to go and discover it. And that would have been hard for them to do because their faith had been shattered 3 days before. Can you imagine that? Can you imagine believing, watching, trusting, following, listening to, writing down everything, capturing it, seeing a miracle after miracle, story after story, and your life is transformed and you're like putting hope and trust and belief, and then all of a sudden it's not? It's just not. It's not true. It's not alive. It's not happening. He's getting beat up. These uncircumcised Gentile Greeks, people that they were like, you're godless people. You're just manhandling the guy that we're all looking up to. I didn't see that coming, and yet it still happened. But now we have an empty tomb. What does the empty tomb say to them? And what does the empty tomb say to us? See, I think that when you look at the empty tomb, that the risen Savior says some things to us. Yes, the story of Jesus does say, this is not how I saw it going. This is not how it was supposed to go. But it still did happen. But there's something else that the empty tomb now says to us, is though this isn't how it was supposed to go, it still went that way. For many of us, we know that's part of the story. But I want to invite you now to the part of the Easter story that maybe many of you are still missing out on. Because I think many of you are missing out on the idea of the third part of this story, which is it wasn't supposed to go like this. This is not how I thought it was going to go. And it still went like that. However, the empty tomb says something to us. It says this, that it doesn't have to stay this way. The way that it went, that I never thought it would go, that I didn't want it to be, and yet it still happened, isn't the way it has to stay. And the reality is there's no way that I could speak about this. I'm sorry messing up the shot, Dom. But there's no way I can talk about this sat down, because my entire life is built around this idea. And the whole idea is that there is a hope greater than the pain. There's a hope greater than your suffering. There's a hope greater than the death of the things that have come to you, the things that haven't been fair, the things that have been a massive trial for you. Some of you, and I mean for some of you, it's a real trial. Like you've had to go through trial, lawyer stuff, drama, exes, ex-partners, all this stuff, and it's been hard. Some of you have had to go through in and out of the criminal justice system, trying to figure your way through that. Others of you, it's been a trial just dealing with your family, dealing with your past, dealing with your upbringing. And I can tell you this right now, I can understand how it might feel today. Look, this is not how it was supposed to go, okay? This is not what we expected. In fact, for those of you, maybe even those of you that you used to believe, or you have believed, or you fully believe in Jesus, and you're like, man, this is not what I thought would come to my life if I believed in Jesus. And that's exactly what all of his followers experienced. And then there was an empty tomb. And the empty tomb said it doesn't have to stay that way. Death doesn't win, because the tomb is empty. Jesus rose from the dead, and he then begins to go throughout his closest followers and let them see him, eat with him, touch the wounds in his hands. And now we're these people who ran and were scattered and were afraid to be known publicly as his friends, as his followers. The day he's beaten, Tacitus, the Roman senator, Tacitus, the Roman historian, not a follower of Jesus, but a recorder of history, declares and speaks to us from the history books. Many, Josephus, the historian, write about this guy named Jesus who had a massive following, and then he was killed and crucified on a cross, on a wooden stake, and he was killed. No history book, no good historian debates Jesus' life or his death. Easter Sunday morning is for those of us that have chosen to believe the stories of those who wrote about the resurrection, that they did see a dead man walk again, that they saw him alive, and that many of them wrote it, and hundreds of people have saw it, and they began to just lose their mind saying, you guys, oh my gosh, like, no, he's alive. What would cause these scared, afraid people to totally betray, to walk away, to act like they didn't even know him on the worst part of the day, and then all of a sudden show up and say, you guys, no. I know it wasn't supposed to go that way. I know that that's not how we thought the story was supposed to go. I know we saw the Messiah coming up with a sword and an army and taking out Caesar. And all of a sudden when they start beating him up, like, it is going this way. I don't want it to go that way, and yet it's going that way. And then we just had to settle into the reality and the grief that that's what happened. And now all of a sudden, you have them seeing their grief and disappointment and sadness of how it wasn't supposed to be meet an empty tomb, where he's not among the dead, he's among the living. And now they meet him. And now they're willing to die. They're willing to give their lives. They don't care what Roman soldiers got to say. They don't care what the people who killed Jesus got to say. They don't care what Herod has to say, Caesar has to say. They don't care what anybody has to say. Every single one of Jesus' disciples were killed for believing that he rose from the dead. That is stunning. That is incredible, and that is worth noting. And for those of us that have chosen to believe in that story, here's what I want us to remember, and is that as much as it wasn't just for nothing, it wasn't for nothing. It was like, well, this was for nothing. He got killed. What are we doing now? For those 3 days, it felt like it was for nothing. Hope lost, sin won, evil won, wickedness won, people who came in to manipulate and lie and try to like coercively do something wrong. It all looked like it won until the empty tomb was found by a former prostitute and one of her friends named Mary, until the angel said, you're looking for him in the wrong place. He's not dead. You were looking for dead Jesus, but dead Jesus isn't dead anymore. He's living Jesus. He's alive, and he conquered. And I don't know who I'm talking to today, but I want to let you know that I think somebody listening to this right now, wherever you are, you need to know that it wasn't for nothing. That it wasn't for nothing what you went through. It wasn't for nothing the betrayal. It wasn't for nothing the hardship. It wasn't for nothing when it didn't work. It wasn't for nothing when there was an illness, when there was hurt, when there was your mistakes, someone else's mistakes. It wasn't for nothing if you got left, if you got lied about, if you got left behind, if somebody came alongside you and let you down, if they disappointed you, if they came along your life and just totally bruised your idea of either life or goodness or God. I know it can feel like looking at the deadness of it hanging in the life right before you saying, this was for nothing. But I want to let you know that Easter Sunday morning has to say to you, it wasn't for nothing. And some of you need to hear that all of the pain, all of the unfairness, all of the hurt, how it broke down, even the way it is right now that it seems like it's dead, I want to let you know that in Jesus there is still hope for all of that pain. It doesn't mean it didn't happen. It doesn't mean it's not sad. It doesn't mean it didn't hurt and it didn't cost. It did. It just means that there's hope through it. See, Jesus goes through all of the pain and betrayal and hurt and difficulty and suffering and denial, all the things that you could ever feel from a friend, a business partner, from a family member, a mom, a dad. He was treated like that, and he went through it. Why? So he can bring you through it. He went through it. Why? So when I have to walk through it, I don't walk through it by myself. And I want you to know today that we believe that Jesus wants to walk with you through what it is you're going through. And I believe firmly that if you'll bring your Good Friday death, whatever it is that Good Friday's death on the cross represents, if you'll bring your pain, if you'll bring your suffering, if you'll bring that hurt, if you'll bring your poor choices, if you'll bring your past, your upbringing that was hurt and broken, if you'll bring all that through, you can bring it to Jesus. And I promise you this, that he can bring life to it. I want you to know it wasn't for nothing. In fact, some of you need to say that out loud. Say that out loud. Say it wasn't for nothing. Say it again. Say it wasn't for nothing. That illness, that sickness, that diagnosis, that heartbreak, that former marriage, the way you messed that thing up, all of that seems what they did, what you did, it wasn't for nothing. There is something that can come out of that. There is life that can be had because Jesus conquered death and everything that represents in death. Everything that has no hope, that has no life, that has no heartbeat, that has no joy. All of those things that had life taken from them, Jesus can inject life and hope and redemption and purpose and forgiveness and all of the comfort, all of the presence that he comes alongside you to bring. You can have access to that. You do have access to that. Because he is alive and he loves you and he invites you to get to know him. And I can tell you this, that the Bible speaks about that. It speaks about getting hope and getting comfort and getting joy. And in Scripture, it talks about this unspeakable joy. And I want to let you know that there is an unspeakable joy available for you. Unspeakable joy just simply means it doesn't really add up. It's out of place joy. It doesn't add up to the circumstances. Circumstances mean you shouldn't be full of anything happy, but joy is not based on circumstances. It's based on belief in who can bring you through your circumstances. And he invites you today to recognize that none of that has to be for nothing. And I can tell you this, I believe that there's some of you, that someone you will meet someday will need you to have gone through and made it through this. They will need you. They will need to talk to someone with wisdom, talk to someone with experience, talk to someone who faced it, who hurt from it, who cried from it, who didn't know what to do through it, but who found hope and life in a risen Savior and an empty tomb and a relationship with that Jesus. And he gave all wisdom, all truth, all courage, all strength, all joy, all ability, all wisdom to come through it. And someone's going to need that from you someday. If you're not already in their life now, you will meet them someday. I believe that for every single one of us. But it does require some faith. And faith is a funny thing, right? Like, it seems so difficult to put our faith in Jesus. It seems so difficult to put our trust and faith in God, right? To trust it when it's really, if you think about it, we put our faith in things all the time. For things that are really important and things that like aren't that important, right? Like you put your faith in the people who make your food, and you are not back there in that kitchen, okay? Like, you put your faith in the people driving around you. When you cross the crosswalk, you put your faith, you don't even look around. We are constantly putting our faith. Man, when you get on an airplane, every time you've ever been on an airplane, you put your faith in those pilots' lives. And you don't know them. You ain't talked to them. You've never really had a conversation. They're just, thank you for flying, good job, hey, hi, right? Like, you used to shake hands. Now it's like, hey, you know. And all of a sudden now, you recognize, hopefully, that it wasn't impossible to put your faith in something for something very important. Your life is on a plane. Your life is in a car next door. You have all these reasons to be like, yeah, I don't know about that. I don't want to trust you. And yet we do it all the time. See, you actually have a strength and an ability to put your faith in things for really important stuff. And what is more important than the rest of your eternity, the rest of your life? See, I believe that Jesus wants to not just affect your life after earth. I think he wants to affect your life on earth. I think, of course, I want your eternity to be secure. When you're done living this life, I want you to be able to spend the rest of your life with Jesus in heaven. I want that for you. But I don't want you just to have heaven after earth. I want you to have heaven on earth. I want you to be able to have Jesus bring heaven into your life now. The things that Jesus wants to offer you is forgiveness, purpose for your pain, help through the storm, comfort for your loss, security knowing that you're going to be okay in this life and then after, no matter what comes in this life. Jesus does not say you won't have trouble. In fact, we learned on Good Friday, Jesus said the opposite. He said, in this life you will have trouble. That's the promise. But then he said this, but take heart, because I have overcome the world. And I believe there's some of you today that you can take heart if you would put your heart and entrust it into the love that Jesus has extended towards you. And I want to invite you to be able to do that today. I want you to be able to experience hope like you've never had it before, and healing like you've never had it before, and comfort like you've never had it before, joy like you've never had it before. Not because all the outside stuff changes, but because the inside thing changes, called your soul, your heart, and your trust and belief in Jesus. And so if you're here today, I want to invite you to really consider, I think the most important thing you will ever consider in your life is, what do you believe about God? And specifically, what do you believe about Jesus? There is nothing, I believe, that's more important than that right there. And today, wherever you are, I want to give you an opportunity to respond. You might, throughout some of this, been listening, hearing it, and thinking, whoa, man, like that's not church as I remember it. Like this is not what I thought Jesus thought of me. That's not how I saw this Easter service going. And yet it went this way, and now I think Jesus wants to give you life and bring you into a whole new reality of what the rest of your life could be like. And if throughout this message you've just kind of been feeling like this thing tapping on your heart, and your heart rate kind of sped up, and you're like, whoa, what's that? And you're like, no, there's no way that could be. I believe firmly that that was God himself drawing you close to himself because he loves you. Because he doesn't want you to go through the rest of your life alone. He doesn't want you to suffer. He doesn't want you to live in all of what life brings by yourself. He's made a way. He rose from the dead. He conquered hell, the grave, death, pain, suffering, trial. And he says, I will comfort you. I will walk with you through it. All you have to do is place your trust in his story and in his words about you. And he says about you, you are worth my life. Your life is worth my life. And that's what Jesus says. He places high value on you by taking all of our sins. And I want to invite you to put your trust in Jesus today. And so if wherever you are, if today as I pray, you'd like to make this prayer your own, I want to give you the chance to say, Jesus, I want to make you the Lord of my life. I want to follow your ways. I want to learn your teachings, and I want to apply the way you were to my life. I want to make you my God, the Bible calls it my Savior, this one who saves me from my sins. God is perfect and he can't be around sin. And Jesus says, you don't have to be perfect if you come to me, because I was perfect and I will cover you. And I know what it's like to show up somewhere and to not be able to take care of myself. I forgot my wallet, I forgot my money, and I'm like, oh shoot, hey, can you cover me? Do you got me? I'll get you back. And I believe that this is exactly what Jesus wants to do for your heart, your soul, your life, is that there are some things we can't cover for ourselves. There are some prices we can't pay. We can't forgive ourselves for the things that we do against God. I can't. I can't wash away my sins. I can't take away my broken choices. But no matter what you've done, you can be forgiven today. That's the offer that Jesus makes to you. He says, I'll forgive it all. No matter what you've done, no matter how wrong it was, I got you. I got you covered. I will make sure that you don't have to pay it. In fact, and you don't have to pay me back. I'm not looking for payback. I'm looking to extend grace. That's what Jesus wants to extend to you today, is I extend my grace to you. I want to cover you. I want to rinse all what's broken and wrong away. And I want to give you new hope. I want to give you a new purpose. I want you to have a new destiny for the rest of your life, to be able to take my message of hope and love and forgiveness and redemption. Redemption for everything that needs to be brought back to its original value. He says, I want to take your life back to the original value, to the original intent, before what marred it, before what scarred it, before what brought all that hurt and those bad ideas or bad reactions or bad habits. He says, I want to redeem it. Let me work through your life by covering it with my grace, with my sacrifice, with my love, with my death, but also with my resurrection and my life. And if you'd like today to receive that grace, to receive his gift to you of his life and say, I put my trust in that, okay? There's so many things I could put my trust in. I put my trust and my faith in so many people, in pilots, in cars, and in people making my food, but for eternity's sake, today I place my trust in what Jesus says about me and what he says about himself. And if you'd like to do that, I'm going to say a prayer. Would you go ahead and bow your heads and close your eyes wherever you're at and make this prayer your own? And you could even repeat it after me. Say it under your breath. Say it in your mind. It's whatever. It's what's your heart is saying to Jesus that matters most. I do believe saying it out loud really does make it something that you bond with. And so I invite you to do that if that's something you're comfortable with. But let's say this prayer and say, Dear Jesus, today I come to you and I ask you to forgive me. I know that I have done a lot of things that are wrong in my life, and I need you to forgive me. I ask today for you to clean the slate of my life. I believe that you love me and that you gave your life for me, that you died on a cross for me. But you did not stay dead. You rose from the dead and offered me hope and forgiveness and redemption and grace. I receive your grace today. I place my trust in what you say about me and in what you say about you. I choose to trust you and to follow you for the rest of my life. Help me learn everything I can about how to live for you. Surround me with some real Christians who will love me, be patient with me, and walk with me through my new journey with you. I give you my future, and I thank you for taking care and forgiving my past. I make you my Lord today, and I pray these things in Jesus' name. Hey, if you prayed that prayer, first of all, welcome to a grand community of people following and trusting in Jesus for life on earth and after earth. I applaud you. I am so happy and excited for you. It is very important for us that we make sure that you have all the things you need. And so would you please do us a favor? Text 797979 the phrase Easter 2020, Easter 2020, and we will get right back to you with things that will help you in your new journey to learn everything you can about how to live out who Jesus was and all the things he wants you to know about what he has for you. He has so much life and hope and amazing power and things for your life that are going to transform you as you live it out with him and with others. I want to now also turn our attention towards us being able to do what we can do as a community. And so if you go there to ourcity.church/give, wherever you can today, you can do it right now. I'm going to pray over this. 100% of what we collect and give today is going to go to those people that need it most. They need the basic essentials: food, water, clothing, shelter, medical treatment, medical aid. We are going to partner with one of our great partners, and they're trying to feed in the next many months 10 million people who need it, and they're trying to help clothe the naked and feed the hungry, give a cup of water to the thirsty, make sure those that are in need of medicine get the medicine they need. And so please, I would never ask you to do this as someone who's a guest ever, but please today, give your best offering, be generous, and let's give it. You can go to ourcity.church/give. If you're already a part of Our City Church, you can go in there and there'll be a drop-down menu about Easter 2020. You can go in there and you can make sure that that's where the fund goes. Everything that we give today, again, is going to go towards the people in need. Thanks for helping us be who God's called Our City Church to be, which is a generous Church. Lastly, I want to invite you. Next week, we're going to continue to explore what does the empty tomb mean for us? What other things of hope, what other things of opportunity, what other things are available to us, even now in this season, that we have for us. I hope you'll join us this next week. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel because that'll help us make sure that we can always notify you when we're going live. Our City Church, happy Easter. He is risen. He is risen indeed. I love you. I can't wait to see you next week. Thanks for joining us for our Easter experience. Bye.
Hello everyone, once again, happy Easter. Kellen here, and I am so pumped for what's about to happen. Before we get started, there's only one thing you need to know. Easter Jam is for everybody in your family. So, if you're a teenager, this is for you. You two young adults. And if you're a younger kid, get ready. We're about to have some serious fun, and we need you to lead the way. Adults, buckle up. This is an Easter like you've never done it before. No matter who you are, we want you to know that Easter Jam is for you too. Now, the only way to not have fun is to not participate. So look around, is anyone missing? If so, hit the pause button and go get them now. We are getting started in 3, 2, 1.
Easter, a time for fake grass, plastic eggs, these things, chocolate bunnies, and people dressed as bunnies. And then there are the weird parts of Easter, like fake grass, plastic eggs, these things, chocolate bunnies, and people dressed as bunnies, which is interesting. But what does all this stuff have to do with Easter? And if this holiday is about more than candy and wearing uncomfortable clothes to church and lunch with your relatives, what makes Easter happy?
Okay, hear me out. There are only two kinds of people in the world. People who love these things and people like me. I just don't get it. How do you eat something so cute but so grainy? Well, let's see how your family feels. Show me a thumbs up if you love to eat these things, or a thumbs down if you don't. Okay, there's a lot of different opinions out there, but no matter how you feel about eating Peeps, you're going to love this game. Your family is gonna do a face-off in the greatest Peep jousting competition of all time. I'm gonna explain how it works, and then we're gonna tell you to get started. So first, you're gonna divide the room into 2 teams. Next, take 2 Peeps and assign them to a team. If you don't have Peeps, no worries. A really big marshmallow will work as well. Team A gets Peep A, and Team B, well, they get Peep B. You can come up with cooler names like Lord Sugarcoat or Sir Sprinkles. You get the idea. You can also use a marker or Sharpie to decorate your Peeps to give them some personality. Draw a mustache on your Peep, give them a mean eyebrow, a fancy outfit, let your creative juices flow. Next, you're gonna need to prepare your Peeps for battle by sticking a toothpick in each Peep to prepare them for battle. The toothpick will be a joust or a lightsaber or a sword. Just depends on how serious your family is about to make this competition. Now, make sure your toothpick is facing forward toward the other Peep. Place the 2 combatants on a microwavable safe plate. Don't worry, no social distancing necessary. And you want the Peeps to be facing close together and face to face. Finally, time for the big event. You are gonna gather around and put the plate into the microwave, setting the timer for 45 seconds. You won't let it run that long. In fact, don't let it run that long. Then press start. Watch at a safe distance until the Peep drops their toothpick or lightsaber and touches the other one. The toothpick that touches the other Peep first wins. And as soon as this happens, you're gonna wanna stop the microwave. Trust me on that one, families. Okay, now's the time to settle this thing. Don't forget to snap a pic of the photo finish. It's time to go. Now push pause and I'll wait here. How'd it go? Who won? I want pictures. So post them on social media with the hashtag EasterJam2020 and tag our church at OURCITY.kids and OURCITY.church. Now, I have to admit, that was more fun than I thought it was gonna be. And also, this happened. All right, are you ready for another game? For this one, you need a laundry basket full of socks. I mean, lots of socks. Clean or dirty, doesn't matter, as long as you have a match. Now, if you need to go grab those things right now. Push pause and then I'll explain the rest. Got your baskets and socks? Great. Now choose 2 people to play. You'll also need 2 people to be scorekeepers. To get started, dump all the socks on one side of the room. And don't worry, these socks will make their way back to that basket real soon. Then place the basket on the other side. When I say go, players will grab a sock, go through the pile to find the matching one, roll the socks together in the shape of a ball or an egg, and then you're gonna toss them like this, across the room onto the laundry Easter basket. The player with the most sock eggs in the basket at the end of the timer wins. If you don't have scorekeepers to help you, keep count, you'll have to keep that number in your head on your own. That means everyone's on the honor system, all right? Parents, I'm looking at you. Okay, if needed, press pause to go get everything in position. I'll wait here. Everybody ready? Great. We're gonna put a 1-minute timer on the clock. This Easter egg throwdown is happening in 3, 2, 1, and go! Alrighty, families, come on back. Who won? Okay, that was pretty wild. And whoever won gets a sock. Nah, I'm just kidding. Adults, make sure whoever won the challenge gets a special treat today. Maybe one of these. Or maybe not. Well, I hope you're having so much fun so far. We're celebrating because today is Easter. If you don't know the whole story of Easter, that's okay. Today we'll talk about what makes today, maybe more than any other day, a happy day. But before we get there, I know a lot of you have friends and family who would love to hear from you. And to make that happen, you have a few options. Pause this video and pick one of the challenges on the screen to wish your peeps a happy Easter. Okay, so I just got like 9 texts from our crew saying Happy Easter. Thanks, fam, nice. Even though we're celebrating a little differently than we have before, that's okay. Easter is still happy. And that's not just because of the peep wars or the Easter baskets or the chocolate bunnies, although those things are awesome. It's still happy because of what happened thousands of years ago at the first Easter. It's the world's most powerful story, and yet it's so simple. So simple that it can even be told with laundry.
In the beginning, God created everything. He formed people in His very own image. But then, we turned away from God. Sin entered the world, like a dark stain. Still, God loved us so deeply that He made a plan to rescue us. At just the right moment, God sent His very own Son, Jesus, to live among us. Jesus healed hearts and minds and bodies. Thousands gathered to hear Him teach. Instead of giving lots of new rules, Jesus turned things upside down by making it simple. Love God, love others. After 3 years of traveling and teaching, Jesus and His disciples entered Jerusalem to celebrate the Passover feast. Huge crowds gathered to welcome Him. But while the crowds cheered for Jesus, the religious leaders made plans to arrest Him. He was turning their world upside down, and they wanted Him gone. As Jesus celebrated the Passover meal with His friends, He told them that He would be leaving, but would return. His friends didn't understand. That night, one of Jesus' followers, Judas, led soldiers to arrest Him. The religious leaders gave Jesus a fake trial and then sent Him to Pilate, the Roman governor, who could have Him killed. Pilate found Jesus had broken no law and tried to release Him. But a mob called for Jesus to be killed. Pilate gave in and handed Jesus over to the Roman soldiers. Jesus was forced to carry the heavy beams of His own wooden cross. On a hill called Golgotha, the soldiers nailed Jesus' hands and feet to the rough wood. The soldiers and people who passed by laughed and mocked Him. But from the cross, Jesus asked God to forgive them. Finally, Jesus called out, "It is finished." Then He died. The earth shook. Rocks split open. Even the soldiers cried, "Surely He was the Son of God." One of Jesus' followers took His body and placed it in a tomb cut from the rock. A huge stone blocked the entrance. Jesus' friends were devastated. They had believed that Jesus was the one God promised, the one who would rescue them, but now He was gone. Their whole world had turned upside down. Jesus' friends stayed hidden in fear for 3 days. But early Sunday morning, Mary Magdalene, a close friend of Jesus, hurried to the tomb. She planned to anoint Jesus' body with special spices. As Mary neared the tomb, she saw the stone had been rolled away. The tomb was empty. Mary turned to see a man standing near. She didn't recognize him until he said, "Mary." It was Jesus, alive. Jesus told her, "Do not hold on to me. I have not yet ascended to the Father. Instead, go to those who believe in me." Jesus, God's Son, became like us to lay down His life. Through God's power, He defeated death for all of us, and sin was washed away. One day, He's promised to return, so we can live with Him forever.
Wow. I hear that story every Easter, and it always amazes me. I mean, God sent Jesus to this world to remind me that He is greater than anything that can go wrong in my world. The simple fact that Jesus came back to life is proof to me that I can face anything bad that happens. I like to think about it this way. I can because Jesus is alive. I can keep loving because Jesus is alive. I can be brave because Jesus is alive. I can have hope, say it with me, because Jesus is alive. Here's an idea. take a few minutes and add to this list of things that you can do because Jesus is alive. Answer these questions as a family. How would you fill in the blank? I can blank because Jesus is alive. And in your opinion, what makes Easter happy? Take a picture of the questions and as a family discuss them after Easter Jam is over. I love that you're about to have family conversations like these, because remembering what God has done in the past, well, that helps me trust Him with what's going on in my life right now. And I hope that's true for you too. And I hope that you spend the rest of the day making happy memories with your family. So after your discussion, here's one last challenge. For this one, you'll need to decide who's the technological genius at home. Maybe it's the step-parent or the aunt or an 8th grader. Either way, decide which person it is. Got it? Awesome. As soon as your discussion is done and this video's over, I want you to go outside and take a family Easter photo. Now, you can be dressed up in your PJs. It could be totally normal with normal smiling faces, or you can be silly, or you can turn on one of those filters that makes you have like a bunny face. But no matter how you do it, take a family photo and make it awesome. And then remember to share it on social media. Remember the hashtag EasterJam2020, and tag at OurCity.kids and OurCity.church so we can see your family's Easter style. Maybe now more than ever, this is a time to celebrate and remember God's faithfulness and the hope He gives us in Jesus. After all, that's what makes Easter so happy.
Alive. The empty cross, the empty grave, life eternal, you have won the day. Shout it out, Jesus is alive. He's alive. Oh, happy day, you wash my sin away. Oh, happy day, happy day. When I stand in that place, free at last, meeting face to face, I am yours, Jesus, you are mine. In this joy, perfect peace, earthly pain finally will cease. Celebrate, Jesus is alive. He's alive. You wash my sin away. Oh, happy day, I'll never be the same. Forever I'm changed. I'll never be the same. Oh, what a glorious day, what a glorious way. You have saved me, and oh,
Thank you so much for joining us for Easter. Remember, parents, do the discussion, take that photo. And if you haven't yet subscribed to our channel, if you enjoyed what you did today and what you heard, make sure you hit the like button and share this with as many friends as you can. And we have plenty of resources for your kids and youth. Follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. And we are looking forward to interacting with you this week. All right, Our City Church, let's change the world together.